Hello and welcome to Wednesday's edition of Cracking the Cryptic. And you've guessed it. If you're familiar with this series, you know exactly what's coming. It's Marty Sears' fifth puzzle in this amazing Rat Run series. This one's called Disparity. We've done the first four on the channel. They've been incredibly popular, but with good reason. These are just fabulous. There is nothing not to like. Our goal is always the same. We have to get the little rat Finkz to the cupcake. The rules by which we're allowed to do this keep changing. And Marty's got some parity thing going on with this one. We have to alternate parity from cell to cell along the path. But yeah, I mean, these have been absolutely stellar. I had a quick look on Logic Masters Germany before I turned on the webcam, and people are saying that this might be the best of the series so far. Now that is praise indeed if you've tried the others. It's got, I think, 3 stars out of 5 for difficulty, which might make it a little smidge harder. I seem to remember the last one was 2 stars out of 5. Anyway, we'll see in a moment or two's time. What do I have to tell you about first? Not a great deal. Over on Patreon, we've got all sorts of extra content. So if you've not joined our Sudoku club over there, it is worth thinking about. It's just a couple of bucks a month. There's all sorts of extra solves of various descriptions, extra crossword content, extra Sudoku content, our monthly competitions. So that's over there. And there was something else I was meant to mention in that regard, but I've forgotten it. I have got a birthday to do. Gilles, now I think I'm late with this one. I think your birthday might have slipped by, but your girlfriend Cecile wrote to us quite amusingly and described how you've converted her to these horrible cryptic Sudokus. Gilles, very well done on having done the conversion. I mean, this is what more people need to go out and do. Convince their friends and family that variant Sudoku is a really rather wonderful hobby. So thank you for doing that, Gilles. I hope you have an absolutely brilliant birthday today. I know you're having, I think, vegan birthday cake. Cecile was unclear about whether or not it was chocolate. I presume it's chocolate, and you can presumably get vegan chocolate icing in an extraordinary quantity. So I hope that's what you get. Many happy returns, and that is the birthday's done. So now I get to solve. Let's have a look at Marty's new puzzle. I think I saw there were 7 of these puzzles. But there was a comment from Marty on Logic Masters Germany suggesting that there may be more to come. So perhaps the series will not end quite as quickly as we might fear. Anyway, these are the rules of this one. We've got normal Sudoku rules apply. So we've got to put the digits 1 to 9 once each in every row, every column, and every 3x3 box. Now, the only problem with these puzzles, and actually Marty's found a very good way around it, is that it can be hard to see the Sudoku underneath all of the sort of graphics going on in the grid. But if I just highlight, hopefully you can, I mean, it's very clearly these are Sudoku boxes, aren't they? So it looks rather pretty when you do that. But so there's some Sudoku going on under the sort of the maze lines. And the aim of this experiment is that Finkz the rat, and I think Finkz is named after the constructor Rat Finkz. I think I'm right about that. Must reach the cupcake by finding a path through the maze. Now there is one path that looks quite tempting here, just to run along the bottom of the grid. I absolute one though. I don't guarantee that. In fact, it would be quite funny if Marty Sears ever made a puzzle like that, where sort of an April Fool, where Finkz just ran along the bottom of the grid to get there. But almost certainly with a Marty puzzle, pick the most convoluted route, and that's probably what we're going to end up with. The path will be a snaking line that passes through the centres of cells without visiting any cell more than once, crossing itself, or passing through any thick maze walls. As well as moving orthogonally, orthogonally means crossing an edge, so these are orthogonal movements of Finkz. Finkz may move diagonally if there's a 2x2 space in which to do so, but may never pass through a rounded corner / end of a wall. Right. Now, well, that is intriguing, because in this puzzle I think there is only one 2x2 diagonal possibility. I'm not sure. Maybe there is another one, but I'm not seeing it. I don't think that's one, because that's got one of these dotty things in the middle of it. And if we go to the line drawing tool, you can see that to do a diagonal movement there would take us through a rounded corner, which I don't think we're allowed to do. So I'm not sure. Maybe that's the only place we could do a diagonal movement. Now, one-way doors, they were in the last one. Finkz may only pass directly through a purple arrow if moving in the direction the arrow is pointing. An arrow always points to the smaller of the two values it sits between. So these are sort of inequality signs that do double duty. They also prevent... So if Finkz was going down here, so if Finkz was doing this, Finkz couldn't turn through there, because obviously that's one-way door would be breached as a condition. Blackcurrants, again, they're making an appearance. Cells connected by a blackcurrant are in a 1:2 ratio, so one of the digits will be double the other. Not all possible blackcurrants have been given. And the test constraint today is, in this experiment, the correct path will have a valid alternating will be a valid alternating parity line, i.e., any pair of adjacent cells along the path must contain one even digit and one odd digit. So if the path went along the bottom of the grid, then if you look at that domino, let's highlight it, one of these is odd, one of these is even. And that will then presumably continue along the line. Anyway, they are all of the rules. Do have a go. The way to play is to click the link under the video as usual. But now, I get to play. Let's get cracking. So, I mean, there's no way that Finkz will be able to do this, but why can't Finkz do that? That is because, actually I can see why Finkz can't do that. Okay, yeah. So that's actually quite entertaining. If we think about the nature of Sudoku numbers, there are 5 odd numbers and 4 even numbers. So 1, 3, 5, 7 and 9 are obviously odd, and 2, 4, 6 and 8 are even. So if Finkz was to travel just straight along the bottom of the grid, given that we must alternate parity, those digits would have to be odd. I use orange for odd. And these digits would have to be even. Now that won't work, I don't think, here. Because we've got sort of black dottage problem, in the sense that if you have 3 black dots connected to one another, then if all cells on those 3 black dots see one another from a Sudoku perspective, and these do, this digit must be a 2 or a 4. Which is even. It's the wrong parity for Finkz to run along the bottom of the grid, to scuttle along the bottom of the grid. And let's just think about why that's the case. Well, black dots, we already know, one of the digits is double the other. So if we think about how Sudoku digits might work, if this was a 1, say, we could go 1 to 2 to 4. If this is a 2, we can't go 2, 1, 2, can we? Because the 2's will clash. But we could go 2, 4, 8. And that's the only other possibility. Obviously, we could do it the other way round, 1, 2, 4, 2, 4, 8. But you can see, in this digit is always even. We can't use 3 and 6, for example, on a string of 3 cells like this, because we'd have to go 3, 6, and then what would the next digit be? It can't go back to 3 again, and it can't be 12. So it doesn't work. It doesn't work, and I'm not surprised by that. But, oh, well, no, okay. Yeah, this actually is that's quite an interesting sequence, full stop. Okay, so having abandoned my attempt to make Finkz run directly for the cupcake, I was then wondering whether Finkz could sort of start to run in the direction of the cupcake and then go up there. But I think this has the same problem, in the sense that this square here is always going to be even, and it's on the path, which means both of these squares have to be odd, and that's impossible on the black in black dot in terms of black dot possibilities. 1, 2 and 4, you know, the 2 and the 4 are going to both be even. We can't put two odd numbers into those positions. It just won't work. We will repeat a digit in box 8. So this is wrong as well. But that's good. That's good. So we now know that Finkz either goes... Well, Finkz doesn't go through there. Although maybe I have to be a bit careful there. No, actually, okay, I think that is legitimate, because I was then wondering if Finkz could do that, which might have a different connotation along the bottom of the grid. But I don't think that's possible, because we go the wrong way through this this one-way door. So I think it is legitimate to sort of imagine there's a barrier here. So Finkz either goes up column 1 and hits another of these black dot sequences. I don't know whether that's possible or not. We'll check that in a minute. Well, actually, I can see immediately, because of what we've just done down here, that we can't go up there. So we are actually going to go up here. Let me show you. If we go this way, we've already established, haven't we? I think that if we were to go directly through the two black currants, not black dots, black currants, Simon. Get your brain in the game as the rain tumbles down in this very strange summer again. Yeah, we can't do this because this will be even, requiring both of these to be odd, which is impossible. So we can't do that. So we'd have to turn. But look, we're penned in now. We've sort of entered a loop. We can't go through that one-way door, and we can't go through that one-way door. They're both pointing in the wrong direction. So actually, Finkz is going to go this way, this way, this way. Look, we're going to get a lot of path done straight away. Well, and now, I don't know where Finkz goes from here, but Finkz must get out of this little loop-the-loop that Finkz is in. So Finkz is in that area. Now, this is a one-way door, so we can't go through there, so we must exit that way. The path can't meet itself, so we then have to go up. And, aha, I see what Marty's done here. Right, we've been talking about the fact that you always have to put a 2 or a 4 in the middle of a black dot sequence, and that's true. Now that is even. That is even, isn't it? And there's going to be a checkerboard effect. Ah, well, is there? Well, there is. There sort of is. Okay, this is very interesting. No jokes about me at parties. I've got distracted now. The point is that this path is going to alternate odd and even cells. Now we can think of this cell as being on a bishop's colour, therefore, and along the path, if the path moves orthogonally and has no diagonal connections, then hopefully it's clear that all of the cells on the same bishop's colour as row 5, column 1 will have to be even, because in order to get to this square, you're always going to have to take an even number of steps, of an even number of orthogonal steps from this point. So you can see that very clearly there. We'd have to go here and then up. To get to here, we'd have to go here and then down. If we wanted to go further afield, let's count how many it would take to go to this one. 1, 2, 3, 4. So it's always an even number of steps. And if you're stepping an even number of times, you're always going to return to the same colour you started on. Now, where we will have to be careful, though, is if there is some diagonal movement in this puzzle, that breaks, doesn't it? Because imagine now I could go straight to this square diagonally, which I can't in this instance, but imagine I could. Then this would not be blue. This would be orange. This would be odd, because we're on even. If we go directly there, we would change the bishop's colours rules. But for as long as there is no possibility of a diagonal movement, and I'm going to claim in these 3 columns there is no possibility of a diagonal movement, then we can basically just go to the cells of the same bishop's colour and bluify them, and cells of the opposite bishop's colour, we can orangify. These must be orange. That must be blue. I've got all of my all 4 blues. 2, 4, 6, and 8 have made an entrance into box 7. So these must both be odd. This square must be even. Oh, hang on. Well, that's odd. So that's odd on a black dot sequence. So that's got to be 1. That's got to be 2. That's got to be 4. And we're off to the races here. Finkz has gone a racing. This is a column of, well, we've got all 4 evens, so we've got to put 2 odds at the top. That's beautiful, because Finkz can't go through 2 odds, so Finkz is going to have to turn there. Maybe I should use a different colour, actually, because if I'm using blue for even, yeah, I'm going to change. I'm going to use green instead. Because if I'm using blue as an even cell shading, I think it would make more sense if we use a different colour for the path. So that means this square is now odd. Now, so from here, we're either going straight up and left, which would put even, even, or we're going here, and that would just be 1 even, and then we don't know what happens to those 3. That's even. It's a slightly desperate point, isn't it? Okay. Well, okay. So I'll take a low-hanging piece of fruit. Finkz has to go through there, and I suppose I can bishop's colour that, can't I? So that's got to be even. That's got to be odd. So if Finkz did go to this square, this would be the final even in this column. Finkz. Oh, goodness me, what on earth do we do now? We've got a whole load of inequalities along here, which, well, if Finkz carries on along row 1, then all of the evens would be used up by the time we get to that square. Which, I don't know if that's fine or not. If Finkz goes down, well, if Finkz goes down, Finkz goes all the way down, actually. Finkz has to tumble down the grid, because, well, this is a one-way door and this is a one-way door, so it'd have to go all the way down here. Even, even, even. Oh, okay, that's it. That is absolutely beautiful. Marty is a genius. That's just absolutely beautiful. Look at this step here. If Finkz turns down, there's a problem here. Oh, no, not that sort of problem. But because Finkz has to go all the way down, this square is important in this analysis. Let's think about what happens. So let's do the even shading, which is going to be that. And this is the, I mean, that's enough, to be honest. That's all we have to do, because the point is that all 4 evens have now appeared in column 4. So what's this square? That's odd. Now, if it's on a 3-cell black dot sequence, blackcurrant sequence, what is it? It's got to be a 1. So this has to be a 2, and this has to be a 4. And 4, the nature of 4 is that it is not odd, it is even. And look, I get 2 cells on the path that are consecutively even, which is not allowed. So that is so lovely. I almost wonder whether Marty has thought, that's the sort of step you can imagine a constructor thinking of in isolation and thinking, well, I just have to build a puzzle around that. Because it's beautiful. But Finkz now, look, Finkz goes all the way along there. And we can do Same thing, look, we can do loads of shading. Now I've got all 4 evens in row 1, which means that is odd. Now that's the right parity. That's the parity we would expect if we go vertical here. If we go to here, this would be blue, and this would be odd, and this would be blue. I don't know. But okay, Finkz has to go down here, at least. So this and this are both odd. These are both even. Which is interesting. So Finkz either dips in here or goes into, or potentially races for the cupcake again. Oh, doesn't know. Finkz doesn't race to the cupcake because we'd have too many evens in the column. If Finkz just goes straight down, we'd have an even here and an even here, and there would be 5 evens in column 9. So Finkz could go to here only. So Finkz either goes here or goes there. So if Finkz goes there, then that's even. I've spotted something here which is actually lovely. In fact, that's it. Oh, right. That's twice you've done this, Marty. So not only is this column is incredibly clever. This point is incredible. This might have been available already, but I've only just seen something. So here is my question. I don't know if this was already available already, actually. I'm going to claim this is the appropriate point at which to ask this question. And the question is, what is the parity of the cupcake? So we know that the path ends on the cupcake. Now, can the cupcake be even? Because if there's no diagonal movement in the puzzle, it has to be even. Because of our bishop's colour rule. But it can't be now. Because however this is approached, it's either going to be approached from above or from the east. But that means either this cell would be even or this cell would be even. And either way, we'd either have 5 evens in row 9 or 5 evens in column 9. That cannot be right. So this has to be odd. And the beautiful thing about this... Oh, wait a second. No, it is still beautiful. I was going to say... is it forces the path to turn. And I think that's right, but it's a little bit more complicated than I first realised. Because I was thinking, I was thinking that I couldn't enter. No, it's definitely right, actually. It is definitely right. Because if the path does continue down here, we now know that the path must visit this 2x2. And must make a diagonal movement in this 2x2 in order to effectively change the parity, change the bishop's colours of the world, such that this can be odd. So we know that's true, but what I was wondering was whether we could sort of find our way through box 9. But I've realised now you can't, because any route you take through box 9 is going to effectively cut the cupcake off. You could do this sort of thing and change the parity and somehow try and make your way back round, but you can see in order to get to the cupcake you're going to have to cross your own path, which you're not allowed to do. So I think literally this is forcing this turn, and that we haven't changed the parity yet, so this stays the same. It's just lovely. It's absolutely lovely. Right. And now I can run the same argument again, which is, how does Finkz end up in this 2x2? Well, Finkz can't do it by going through box 9, because to do so, Finkz will have to traverse box 9 somehow and do this. And then there's no way back to the cupcake. So I don't know whether Finkz does it directly, but Finkz definitely goes through there because this is a one-way door. So Finkz goes up like this. This is just magnificent, Marty. This might be my favourite, actually, of the whole series, because this is very original. It's so original, the logic here. Now, at the point that Finkz is going along this path, Finkz has not changed her parity. Finkz has not changed her parity. I've got that wrong in a video before. So this is still, all of those are still even then, because they're on that bishop's colour, aren't they? And now we've got 4 and 4 in box 3, so that by a process of elimination must be the 5th odd digit. And then, goodness only knows what we do with that. Well, so if we know Finkz doesn't. Oh, do we know? Wait a second. Just a basic question. How does Finkz get to the cupcake? Because this is on the correct bishop's colour for the current bishop's colouring. So I can't go through that square. What I'm thinking is, if I was to go in this direction towards the cupcake ever, then obviously I would expect this bishop's colour and this bishop's colour to be the same, and they're not. So I can't do that ever in this puzzle. So the way that Finkz has to get to the cupcake is not through here. So Finkz has to get to the cupcake. Yeah, okay, so this is what's forcing this direction from here. If we went down and sort of did a rinky-dink like this, then how would Finkz get to the cupcake? Finksz's only way would be through here. And we know that the bishop's colour couldn't be changed once we've done that. So that's not the way. So Finkz approaches the cupcake from above, from the right-hand side of the grid. And therefore this is not possible. We have to leave room for Finkz to come down this way. I don't know which of these routes Finkz is on, but this is so beautiful because now you can see that the bishop's colour has changed here. This is orange, and on the original bishop's colouring it should have been blue. So we have changed our polarity there. So these are both blue. That's blue as well. This is orange. I've got all of my blues in this box, so those are both orange. It's rather extraordinary to note that we still don't know which of these Finkz goes through. At least I don't think I do. So I think Finkz could do that or that. Either way, Finkz will run into a black dot thingy. But you can see now that the bishop's colouring is now correct. The bishop's colour equivalent to this square is now that square, and the bishop's colour equivalent to this square is now this. Oh, that square. So the bishop's colour has been correct. Okay, but we can't connect the loop up here because that would force two evens to join. So we have to do this. We can do some more colouring, can't we? So that's orange, that's blue, that's orange. I've got my 4 blues in that box, so these are orange. I've got 5 oranges in row 2, so these are blue. And what that tells me is how Finkz traverses box 1, because if Finkz went here now, she'd have to go through 2 consecutive blues. This puzzle is a work of sublime genius. It is absolutely brilliant. Now I've got 4 blues in this column, so these are both orange, which means again, look, it's determining the path. Finkz can't go up here because there would be far too many oranges in a row. So Finkz must do a rinky-dink. Those must both be blue. No, Finkz could go here or here. But Finkz can't go. Hang on, how is Finkz going? No, okay, sorry. I was thinking Finkz couldn't go that way. That's true, except that by the time Finkz gets onto this strand, Finkz is travelling in this direction, so Finkz could go west to east across this boundary if this went that way. So I've probably got, well, actually I don't know what I've got here. Okay, here's a tiny point. Is it possible to construct a black dot, or a blackcurrant even? Could you construct a blackcurrant with no even digit on it? And the answer is, of course, no, because one of the digits is double the other, and the nature of a digit that is double another digit is that it can be expressed as 2x, where x is the other digit. So it is indefatigably even. So there is definitely at least one even on here. In fact, there must be only one even, because otherwise we'd have too many evens in column 7. So this is one of each. And that is therefore odd. But this one is different, because that could be double even without breaking the column. So this is either, this black dot is either a 1, 2 or a 3, 6. It must have one odd digit on it. Unfortunately, that inequality sign is not looking very propitious, is it? So, I know I have to get here. I know I have to change the polarity. I'm just unsure at first blush how this is meant to work. So if this was on the path, this would be odd, this would be even. And then I could go odd, even, odd, or I could perhaps go through here. I don't know. Only if this was one of each. And then this would be even. And that would work in the bottom row. These would both be odd. That would be 1, 2, 4. Okay, so I'm getting stuck now. This is bad. Let's try... Oh, I'm not sure really where to try. Oh... Okay, yes, I've got something. Right, so one of the things I've been thinking about is that movement was possible. I'm now going to claim no, that's not possible. Because if I do that, obviously this has to stay away until we've changed the parity, so this would come down here, but that's not the thing that's going to break. What's going to break is this column, because the way we would arrive in this square would have to be a vertical movement. And unless I'm very much mistaken, this is even and this is even. And that's 5 evens in column 5. I don't think that logic is wrong. I can't see why that's wrong. So, assuming that's correct, we don't come through here, which means we do go down there, which means I can do another bit of shading. But now it's going to get tricky, isn't it? And actually it is tricky, because I've got 2 more shaded digits, but they haven't really been very helpful to me in terms of count. I've got 3 evens now in this column, 3 evens in this row, 4 odds in this row. But I still don't know. Because if this one comes straight down, of course, the parity is very different. And in fact, Finkz could also duck in there. Oh. So I don't know. I'm not sure what to do here. It's not going to be these black dots, I don't think, is it? I'm going to actually label them up. 1, 2, 4, 8... I'll try Sudoku. That 6, 8 pair means I've got 2, 4 pair here in the column. Okay, on this, across this inequality, these are both even. So this can't be a 2 or a 4 now, because that would be a 6 or an 8, and it would be the wrong way round. So that's 2 or 4, and that's 6 or 8. And then we've got lots of inequalities going across here. But I suppose this one, well, no, no, that can't be 4, can it? If this was 2 or 4, it definitely can't be 2, because 2 would be greater than 1, which would have to be greater than 0. So I'm wondering whether it can be, no, it can't be 4, because what would be the even digit you put in this square? Nothing, because this is, so this is 6 or 8. But that doesn't mean that this isn't, oh, bobbins, I don't know. Wow, okay. I've tried to see what to do. I don't know what it is. Is it? It might be colouring. That's slightly desperate as a thought. Okay, there is a small point. I mean, this is a weird point. This square is not 2 by Sudoku. That square is not 2, because for this square to be a 2, this square would be a 1 by the inequality, or the one-way door, and then the black dot would make this a 2 again. So we go 2, 1, 2. So 2 is actually in one of those squares in box 6. So 2 is in one of those squares. So one of these is, well, we already knew one of these was even. But we know, I suppose we now know, okay, so we know this is now 6 or 8, because I've got 4 and 2 effectively hypothecated in row 6. So this is 6 or 8. So that's just got to be greater than this digit, which it clearly will be. Okay, so that's not how to do it. Wow. What do we think? Is it odd digits? 1? Is that somehow doing... Well, 1 could only be useful. Oh, I see. 1 is interacting a little bit with the odd digits here. It can't go in that square because it would have to be greater than an even digit. So 1 is locked into one of 2 places in box 7. But I doubt that's going to give us too much more joy. 1 is in one of 3 places in box 6. Again, it can't go on an inequality, on the higher side of an inequality. 1 absolutely can go here, so that's no use. Wow, Marty, what have you done? What nonsenses have you prepared for us here? What is it that I'm missing? It could be any number of things, I suspect. Is it... It might be something to do with whether you need an odd digit on here to allow Finkz to somehow traverse the necessary real estate. I mean, if Finkz goes here, there's a lot of odd digits required, aren't there? Actually, I'm going to look at that. If Finkz goes there, then Finkz has to travel down this passageway, which we've already thought about. But I just feel there's... Well, no, is that okay? Maybe that's okay, you know. But didn't we look at this before? I'm sure this is wrong for some reason. I mean, if we do this, we haven't changed our polarity yet. So we'd have odd here and odd here. And we'd have 3 evens in a row. Yeah, and it breaks for a similar reason. That's ridiculous. Wow. Oh, no, hang on, that's even now, isn't it? And that's odd, so maybe it doesn't break. It goes 1, 2, 4. 1, 2, 4. This becomes a 2, this becomes a 6 or an 8, that becomes a 6 or an 8. This becomes a 2, 4 pair. Lots of things happen, but I can't see it as broken just yet. This would be even. The whole of the rest of the row would be odd. So the only way the cupcake could be attained is by this being even and this being odd. So the path would be something like this. That's really interesting, because I can't see why that's broken, which makes me think it might be correct. So maybe there's a problem now, on the other hand, with going down here. I don't know. I'm going to look at whether there's a problem that's happened in this regard if we go straight down, because then we get 2 more odds, and this would be even. Now, is that somehow broken? This would again be odd in this paradigm, because we've had all our evens in this column this time. So this is all. I think this always ends up being a 1. Maybe that's the point where we're supposed to be bringing out. We have to change the parity here. So, but we could change the parity by ducking here for an even and then going up, or ducking here. Although that couldn't be even now, could it? So we'd have to duck there. So the path would have to do that. Now, what's wrong with that, if anything? We'd go even, odd, even. That would be a 2, I suppose. Yeah, that would be a 2. That doesn't break the thing at the bottom. No. Okay, so that's... I'm perplexed by that. I don't understand how I'm meant to understand what that's doing. Oh, this is clever. This is just clever, isn't it? I haven't got it, but I admire it. I really do. What do we think it is? So this is either 1, 2 or 3, 6. But this one... I think this one has the same sorts of properties. At least one of these is even. Is that helpful? Either both. Well, although I think what we've worked out is whichever way we go, this becomes an odd digit. But that felt like a sort of quite a look ahead to notice that. So I'm not going to use that unless I can't see another way to do it. It just felt slightly more pressured than some of the deductions that we've found so far. So just give me a second in case I can see something cleverer. So this square and this, no, they are both 4, 6 or 8, aren't they? But they're not under any pressure to be anything. Could we use the inequalities somehow? This square? I don't think we can. I know there's a run of 3 cells there where this is the largest and this is the smallest, but I suppose this can't be 8. I mean, that's a tiny point, but it's true. This can't be 8 because that would be 9 and that would be 10. So there's a very minor deduction we can make. Okay, so the 8 in this column seems to have to be in one of those 2 squares. I mean, but it does knock a digit out of this square, doesn't it? So this is now down to 4 or 6. But again, I don't think there's any pressure on it. 2, 6, 4, 6, 8, 2, 4. Okay. How do we do this then? I don't know. Or maybe it's to do with how we get this change of polarity here. We know there has to be a diagonal movement, don't we? So maybe is one diagonal. Maybe that's a way we could consider it. So if these are involved in the diagonal movement, yeah, maybe let's think about this. So if that's the diagonal movement that Finkz makes, then that's one of each parity. Okay, but if, oh sorry, and if that's the diagonal movement Finkz makes, that definitely becomes even, doesn't it? And if that becomes even, then I've got all my evens in column 5, so I couldn't go up this way, so I'd have to go this way. This would be even, and this would be odd. And that's probably okay. Wow. Wow. 8 in row 5 has to be in one of 3 positions. I'm scraping the barrel with some of these deductions now. No, it must be to do. There must be some reason that this is one of each parity. If Finkz goes here, this is odd, and then this is even. If Finkz goes here, this. Oh, do we always know then what this is? Yeah, I see. I didn't appreciate this. Okay, so if Finkz goes down, which is one possibility, this is odd by parity, and this is even by parity. But if Finkz goes there, this is even, and this is odd, so it's the same thing. So actually, I could always have shaded these in, even though I don't know which way Finkz goes, which is a really peculiar concept, but it does. So now this digit is even, and I know it's not 2, and I know it's not 8, so that's 4 or 6. It's still not good enough, but it's quite interesting. Okay, but then can I run that argument again, presumably, in the sense that if Finkz has gone here, Finkz still hasn't changed parity, and Finkz would have to go there for the next digit, which is even. And that would make this odd, even though I could never visit. Oh, I suppose I could visit it on the, but it would make this odd by counting the number of even digits in the row. Whereas if Finkz goes here, this is definitely the next cell, and it's odd anyway. So again, we can just do the same thing again, even though we don't know, or I don't know, which way Finkz goes. So this is now not an 8. Look, that's a tiny deduction, but it's not one I've been able to make. And now, oh, that's it. And now I've got 4. So this is a way of concluding that this is an odd digit. That's lovely. Oh my goodness. Okay, well, I'm sort of glad that I took the time to think about that, in the sense that I didn't just bifurcate it right down to the bottom. You can think about this sort of checkerboard in this 2x2, and the fact it still must exist, whatever the path that Finkz takes is. So now, okay, so now that's definitely odd. And again, we can run the same argument, can't we? Because Finkz either goes here, and this Finkz is either travelling. Oh no, actually maybe I can't. No, I might have to be careful this time. Well, no, it's the same argument. Because if Finkz goes straight down, this is odd, and that's going to be even. And if Finkz wiggles, that's even and that's odd, so that's the same effects. And if Finkz goes this way, this is even again. So it's always, it's just an extension of the same argument. So this is always odd, this is always even, and that places the 2, look. This is a 6 I've now seen, because that became a 4 at some stage. So that's an 8, and that's a 6, and that's an 8. Okay, so these 2 squares now don't include 8 anymore. They are a 2-4 pair. And therefore that has become a 6. This square here is not 6. So this is a 4-8 pair, which might not be resolved yet, but I've still got to put an 8 in this column. It's in one of 2 places. So anything that sees a 6 in this box would have to be an odd digit. Well, certainly the path doesn't go from there to there, does it? That would be 2 consecutive odd digits. This square is a 6 or an 8, because I've got a 2-4 pair. In fact, look. Oh, look, this is good. In the bottom row, I've got 4 even digits, so those have got to be odd. And now my path to get the cupcake can't come through that square, so it's got to come through that square into an even. So that's the path to the cupcake, which must go there next, which means that square's even. I've not got enough even digits. This is a double even now. That square, oh, I don't know. This is double even. So, what does that mean? It's got to be either 2-4 or 4-8. So it's got a 4 on it. That's lovely. It's got to be a 4 on there. So that's got to be a 4. And that's got to be a 2. So now this isn't 2-4. Now this is 4-8. This square here is a 2 or a 6. So that makes sense, doesn't it, in the context of this domino down here. This square here is either 2 or... Oh, that's right. That's a 2 now. And there is a 6 on here. So this is a 3-6 pair. Which means that's a 2 at the top of the grid. This is a 6. So that's a 6 and that's an 8 and that's a 2 and that's a 4. And that's a 6 in the top row, and that's an 8. Look, that's right on a 9 there. So, because 9 has to be bigger than 8. Now this is a 4. This is one of these puzzles where I might actually just be able to do the even digits. Look, oh no, I thought that was going to be... I've done quite a lot of the even digits out of nowhere. This is a 4. Oh, whoopsie. That's a 4. That's an 8. That's a 6. So this is a 2, that's a 4, that's an 8. Now, I haven't yet managed to work out... Well, one of these is a 6. Okay, so our final even digits in box 8 are here and here. So that's definitely odd, which we could have got before. Look at all this. This is impossible. Well, it's... hang on, I've got far too many. There must be... Because I have to do a diagonal shift across here, it must now be to this square, mustn't it? Because the path has to alternate. So the diagonal shift is there. That digit is a 6. That's a 6. That's a 3. That's definitely even. That's definitely odd. I haven't got an 8 in this row, so that's an even 8. These two are both now odd digits. I've done the parity in the grid. But what we haven't done is to work out the path. Oh, well, we can do it now. Look. Finkz can't go down here anymore because there's 3 odd digits in a row. So the way Finkz gets to the 2x2 is by coming down column 5 then. And that does work now. That is alternating and then pops up there. There we go. And, okay, we still haven't done it. Oh, but we can do it. Because now Finkz can't go through there, because Finkz would... wouldn't be able to alternate to a finish. So Finkz does a little rinky-dink, and that, I don't know if you can see it, but that is the path, I think. I think that's all ambiguities resolved. But rather amusingly, at least to me, what we have not done, we've done most of the Sudoku. I've done all the even digits and a smattering of odd digits. But somehow or other this solves from here. There's a 3 in one of those. Oh, I see. This is a 1 by Sudoku using... So that's a 1 by Sudoku. So now 1 is in one of these 2 squares. 1 is... Oh, 1 can't be there because of the inequality. So that's a 1. Which means 1 is exactly there. Which means 1 is now in this domino. I don't think we've got any inequalities to help us with that. Oh, this is 1. So that's 1 and that's 1, and all the 1s get finished. Beautiful. This square is a 3 by dint of the fact it has to be lower than 4 and isn't 1 or 2. 3 is now in one of those squares. Which is... well, what's that digit? That's 3 or 5, I suppose. It's got to be between 6 and 2. 8 is bigger than this digit. Sorry if you can see what... Oh, I suppose... Right, in the bottom row, those squares are 5, 7 and 9. So we need a 3 in the bottom row. Let's put that in. So that becomes a 5. Now, where do we put 9 in column 6? We can't put it on the right-hand side of a one-way door. So that's got to be 9. That's got to be 7, which is putting a lot of pressure on that digit, which is now 9. This is a 5 by our old friend, that fair weather friend, Sudoku. I've not put 3 into this column, so that gives me another 3. Am I going to get a 3 in the corner? Don't know. There is a possibility. There is a possibility of a 3 up here, which might be the only it is the only possibility. Right, so these squares, oh yeah, look, these are 9 and 7, so we have to put the 7 on the inequality, which means this is 9, this is 7, this is 5. So this is not 5, this is not 7. That's a 7 or a 9 by Sudoku. I can't have that many. Yeah, this is 5 or 7. Oh, it's not. It's 7. C's 5 in the row. So that's 5, that's 9, that's 7, that's 9. These squares are 3 and 5. I can do it. 5 and 3. We need a 9 in this row, so that's 9, that's 3. These are 5 and 7. Where's 5 in column 3? It can only go there. So 5, 7, 7, 3, 5, 9. So this is 3. This is 9. It's done, isn't it? This is 5. Oh no! We didn't get a 3 in the corner. We've got to put 7 here. And we've got to put 5 here. And that, I think, is the solution to the puzzle. That is absolutely magnificent. Experiment completed successfully. Cells visited 52. Blackcurrants eaten 1. One-way doors used 6. Okay, that's quite high. Finkz grew in confidence using the one-way doors and did not hesitate to go out of her way in order to find a place to move diagonally, thereby achieving the necessary parity shift. Yes, I have more faith than ever that next week's landmark experiment will see Finkz secure her place in the history books. That is absolutely brilliant, isn't it? And it's absolutely brilliant. Shade under an hour. But it was a fabulous puzzle, start to finish. It was just a work of genius. It's a work of genius. There, I have said it. Let me know in the comments how you got on. I enjoy the comments, especially when they're kind. And we'll be back later with another edition of Cracking the Cryptic.